to learn about today is our focus is kind of on better skills that we can gain to become really good at taking tests, okay? It's kind of a testing toolkit. So think about a construction worker that has their toolkit. We're kind of building our own toolkit in our heads for when we take tests, okay? Yesterday, we learned about some of that testing vocab. Remember, instead of words like pick, they say select. Sometimes it says choose the best answer. So meaning that some of the other answers sound correct, but are they the best one? Some of the other things we learned about was most likely, other terms like that. So today, what you guys are going to be focusing on, what we're focusing on is how and where to find the answer to a question. So yesterday, I remember we talked about the word passage. Does anyone remember what the word passage means? When I say read this passage or look at the passage, what is a passage? Does anybody know? I'm not talking about a tunnel somewhere or an underground passage. What am I talking about when I say if you were looking at a test and it said in the passage, look back at the passage and answer this question? What do I mean by passage? Who remembers? Does anybody remember? Remember, we looked at a few examples of a passage. So a passage is just almost like a story, a little chunk of text that they will give you, okay? A little chunk of text that they'll give you, a story that you'll usually have to read before you answer the question. Because like I said, if the question says, look at the passage, if you haven't read it, you're probably not going to know what the answer is. So good test takers know where to find an answer. They know it can be found either in their heads or in the text. Some questions refer specifically to the text. These questions are not asking about your prior knowledge. So things that you know about before reading the passage. They just want you to report back what the text or the passage said, so the story. So these questions are in the text questions. We'll call them in the text questions. Can you guys do that with me? In the text questions. Do that with me. In the text questions. Pretend we got a book. In the text questions. Perfect. All right. So in the text within this lesson, okay? So to answer other questions, you must put your prior knowledge in what the text says to make a guess. So you have to use what you already know because you guys have so much knowledge in here. You sometimes have to use what you know already to answer the question. So we're going to call these in my head questions. So when I say in my head, point to your head. Ready? In my head questions. All right, let's do in the text question. Sorry. Let me lower this. In the text questions, in my head questions, okay? So those are the two different kinds of questions, okay, that we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to show you kind of what I mean by that. So Miss Kalina is going to share her screen. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Let's see. Okay, can you guys see this okay? Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you could see this? Perfect. Okay, so we're kind of calling this QAR. The question that they want you to answer, your answer, and then the response. How is it a in the text question or is it a in your head question? So we kind of already talked about, okay? So these are the type of questions. So right there answers, okay? That means that let's look at this anchor chart right here. Can you guys see it? Let me see if I could zoom in a little bit. There we go. Let's see. All right, let's look at this anchor chart. We got almost looks like a stoplight. So the right there answers are answers that are right in the text. right in the text. So they're in text questions. Who, what, where, when, how, meaning of words. So if I were to ask you a right there question and in the text question about the book we just read, it might be, what happened to the boy's coat? Well, it's right there. I told you. Or who was the boy's friend? Well, right there. It's right there in the text, okay? So those are the first kind of questions we have. These questions, the questions might sound like according to the passage, how many, who is, where is, what did, who did. So maybe who stole the coal, how many, let's say we're talking about the 3 little pigs. How many pigs were in the story? It's right there in the text, in the passage, okay? So our next type of question is think and search. So let's look at this yellow, think and search. The answer is in a few spots. Search for connections, cause and effect, compare and contrast, problem and solution. So those kind of questions are still in the text, but they make you think deeper. So some examples. What caused the boy's house to get cold? Compare and contrast. If we're going to compare and contrast, maybe we can compare the boy to his friend. How are they similar? How are they different? What happened to the boy after he fell in the train? Choose 2 sentences, which best supports. So it's still in the text question, but you kind of have to stop. That's why it's yellow. Yellow means slow down. And you really have to kind of think a little bit, okay? Really look in the text for the answer, okay? It might not be so that it just pops out at you. You're going to have to really reread the story. And then our last one says stop, author, and you. So these are in the head questions. Answer is created by your knowledge. So all that knowledge that you guys are what, 8 and 9? How many of you guys are 8? Raise your hand if you're 8. Raise your hand if you're 9. All right, you guys are in the 3rd grade now. So that means you've been going to school for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4, maybe over 4 years. You guys have learned so much stuff over that 4 years, and not just in school, but even outside of school, you guys are constantly learning things. So these stop, author, and you questions, you have to use your knowledge that you already have to answer the question. These are in the head questions. So now these, you're gonna really have to stop and think. Maybe it's asking, why does the author do something and why did the author write it that way? Think about Stone Fox. We were all pretty upset when Searchlight passed away at the end, right? So a question would be, why did the author have Searchlight die? Why? Well, you kind of have to really think about that, and it's kind of in your head. It doesn't really just say it in the text. What is the mood? What can the reader infer or guess about? What was most likely the reason? Which question can a listener answer after hearing this? What lesson can be learned from? So all of those are questions that you have to answer, and they're in your head. You have to use all that knowledge that you guys have to answer these questions. So we're going to practice, okay? So we have our 2 types of questions. 2 types. Ready? We have our in the text. Ready? In the text. I'm going to keep doing it. Try to see people see it. In the text. In the text. In the text. And we have our, what's our other one? Who could raise your hand and tell us that? Oh, Jayla's, yep, Jayla did it. In our head. Perfect. Awesome sauce, guys. All right, I'm going to read. You guys just listen, okay? Let me get my reading voice. I got to sit up straight. Let me take a little sip. All right, you guys are listening because we have 4 questions to answer together. Sam has lived in Marytown his entire life. However, tomorrow Sam and his family would be moving 100 miles away to Rosslare. Sam hated the idea of having to move. He would be leaving behind his best friend, Pat, and the local football team he had played on for the last 2 years. And to make matters worse, he was moving on his birthday. That's awful. Sam would be 13 tomorrow. He was going to be a teenager. He wanted to spend the day with his friends, not watching his house being packed up and put in a van. He thought that moving was a horrible way to spend his birthday. What about a party? What about spending the day with his friends? What about what he wanted? That was just the problem. No one ever asked Sam what he wanted. Okay, so my first question is, what is the name of the town where Sam and his family are moving to? First of all, who knows? Is this an in my head question or in the text? Does anyone know? If you know, try to make the symbol. Is it right there in the text? Or is this something good? I see, yes, it is right there in the text. Who knows? Raise your hand if you know which town Sam and his family are moving to. Susan.
Marytown.
So they lived in Marytown. It says, however, tomorrow Sam and his family would be moving 100 miles away to Rosslare. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Rosslare. But that was an example of an in the text answer, in the text question. It told us right there. We didn't really have to know anything other than, all right, we just had to read. It said he will be moving to Rosslare. All right, question 2. Why was Sam not looking forward to the move next day? Why did he not want to move? Raise your hand if you think you know. Oscar.
Because for almost 13 years.
Okay, so he had lived in Marytown for his whole life? All right, so because he had lived in the town his whole life, he didn't want to leave his friends, he didn't want to leave the football team, and also, what was the next day? What was the next day? It was a special day for Sam. Kweku.
His birthday.
His birthday. So this was another in the text question. We didn't really have to do too much thinking, right? Because it's in the text, it's right here. All right. What might Sam do to make moving to a new town easier for him? Uh-oh. What doesn't tell us in the text? So this is a in the head question. So what is something Sam might do to make moving to a new town easier for him? Who thinks they have an answer? Kweku.
So I think Sam would just tell his parent because he doesn't want to leave this town and leave his friends alone.
So, but how could he make it easier to move to a new town? Maybe think about his attitude. Does he have a really good attitude right now? Give me a thumbs up if you think he has a good attitude, a thumbs down if you think he has a bad one. Yeah, I'd say he kind of has a bad attitude. What if we said he could change his attitude to a positive one? All right, perfect. Good job, guys. Now that was a question that it didn't just tell us in the text. So that was an in the head question. Mohammed, what's up, bud?
I think is that a present? Would he go to the town or something?
Maybe there'll be a present for him in the new town.
Maybe. I don't
May
know.
okay, yeah, that's a good maybe. That's something to think about. Okay, last question. In what ways can moving to a new house and to a new town be exciting? All right, this does not say this in the text, so this is a in the head question. I want all you guys to think. I know some of you guys have moved here. You haven't always lived in Indianapolis. So why can it be exciting to move to a new house, to move to a new town? What could be exciting about it? Think. What could be exciting about moving to a new place? Why would you be excited to move to a new place? Diana.
Because you can have new friends.
Okay, you can meet new people. Perfect. Awesome. You can meet new people. People are different everywhere you go. If we were to all move to California, people would probably be a little different than they are in Indiana. What's another exciting reason to move, or to move to a new town, or to move to a new house? Susan.
You can make new friends.
Mm-hmm. New friends, new people. What else? What's another reason? What's another reason? Maybe you'll get a cool room. I know when I moved to Fortville, I like to explore the new town, shops, restaurants, because Miss Kalina loves to eat. So that's something else that's very exciting. And you can one of my favorite things to do when I go to a new town is to go explore the parks they have. How many of you guys like to go to the park?
Actually, I explored too when I came here.
You what?
I actually explored when
You
I was
did? Okay,
here.
so you explored too. So was that fun for you?
Yeah, that was like new in different houses.
Perfect. Awesome. So guys, look at that. Mohammed just used his prior knowledge. So this happened to him. So he was able to use his prior knowledge about him moving to relate it to Sam moving. Awesome job, Mohammed. Awesome, awesome sauce. Okay. So that is all I have for your lesson today.